Is not this a true autumn day? Just a still melancholy that I love, that makes life and nature harmonize. The birds are consulting about their migrations. The trees are putting on the hectic or the pallid hues of decay, and begin to strew the ground, that one's very footsteps may not disturb the repose of earth and air, while they give us a scent that is a perfect anodyne to the restless spirit. Delicious autumn, my very soul is wedded to it, and if I were a bird, I would fly about the earth, seeking the successive autumns. I love the changing with the seasons, but my favorite is autumn. I'm more productive and happy. This is when we air out our sweaters, go on crisp nature walks, and start drinking many warm drinks, be it pumpkin spice lattes or hot apple ciders. And when we can comfortably use the cozy evening inn as an excuse to not go out and party. Autumn always feels like new beginnings. As Scott Fitzgerald once said, life starts all over again when it gets crisp in the fall. Hi, welcome to a new video. In this video, I'm going to share some autumnal essentials and my favorite things to do in this season. I'm doing this video to inspire and hopefully give you some ideas on what to do to romanticize your everyday life during our favorite season. I normally start my autumn, or before autumn actually starts, by organizing what I want to do, what I want to bake and cook, and what I want to read or watch during this season. I do try to do it for all seasons, but with autumn, I start really early, and I don't even care if technically autumn only starts at the end of September. Recently, I've started doing this on my Notion. So I always make almost a little mood board, but full of content of what I want to get up to during this season. Something else I do before the season really starts is to visit a few key shops around town to see what they're stocking, be it decorations or snacks like M&S. They always have a really good seasonal selection of snacks, which I try and then stock up on my favorite ones. But at the end of this pilgrimage, I always come home with a autumn candle and a mug. Last year, I created a pick and mix autumn calendar inspired by the Christmas advent calendar. I color coordinated some different types of activities and just autumnal moments. So every day or every other day when I have a bit of free time, when I want to make some food, when I'm craving something sweet, I can just pick something from my little pot of goodness and it will tell me what to do. It's a fun way to just be a bit more spontaneous during this amazing season where you want to be doing something special every day. When the leaves start falling, the perfect free activity is to just step on them. I try to do this as often as possible. Every time I'm walking to work and I know it's going to be a busy day, so I stop and I crunch on the leaves for a few seconds and really feel it. Think of it when I'm doing it and appreciate that stolen moment before the day really starts. Get a warm drink and a book and crunch on some leaves. It's just something that can only be done in autumn. A little something special to do on a day-to-day basis. Something else I love and that I always do is my weekly movie marathons or movie evenings. I normally have two types, the cozy ones and the indulgent ones. The indulgent obviously is inspired by Gilmore Girls, where you get a bunch of junk food, pizza and popcorn and crisps and some sweets, and you just put on a fun movie or even something classic to watch while you just attack all the indulgent food. My other version of it is when you get a steaming bowl of cozy soup, a cheese toasty, and you just put something a bit cozier, a bit more romantic, maybe even some Hallmark movies, and you just cozy up with your soup and you spend the night away just watching something slow moving. My favorite movies to watch are obviously, as I said, any romance Hallmark movie, or the classic Harry Potter, obviously. There's also Hocus Pocus. I've recently rewatched the Halloween Town movies, which I find completely ridiculous, but also just cozy something to have in the background. There's also The Nightmare Before Christmas, which I normally watch in November between Halloween and Christmas. And I'll have a video with book, film and TV series recommendations next week, so you can start getting excited for that. Another not very talked about activity to do during autumn is to journal what you've been doing, especially your favorite autumn days. Not only so you can go back and relive those memories, but also to recreate them in the next year. I don't journal very often, but I normally do end up journaling during autumn. And every once in a while, I just go back and reread those amazing cozy days that I've spent doing whatever, reading, going on walks, drinking cozy drinks. It's just amazing to be able to relive your memories and recreate them. And obviously, to help set the mood, you have to have a favorite autumn playlist. I don't have a perfect playlist yet. I have been compiling a big one for the past few years, and every year I add new songs, and that's what I really love about it, how I can go back, re-listen to old favorites that really remind me of specific years, but then always adding some new loved songs so I can go back the next year and remember the year that I'm living in the moment. Obviously, something that really helps embrace the season is to dress accordingly. Yes, not all of us live in colder countries, but you can always add a little sprinkle of something, be it with the materials used or the colors. I mean, take out all of your orange, yellow, browns, creams, beiges and blacks out of your wardrobe and maybe create a little capsule wardrobe. All of your autumn pieces that you can use and reuse throughout the season. I really like getting it all out each year, be it my comfy clothes or my autumn staples. It really helps make you feel like the main character in your own life, which you obviously are. I've recently been looking for a couple of autumn pajamas that I can rotate throughout the season, and I've seen that Next has a few good ones this year, so I'm definitely gonna pop over and see if I like them. The staple thing to wear during this time of year are sweaters, but if it's still warm, you can always go with a sweater vest, maybe some lighter shirts. You can obviously start wearing boots, But if it's too hot to wear them where you're from, you can always go with a shoe option. Pick out a few styles of shoes that look autumnal. For example, something like Mary Jane's. They look perfectly dark academia, but they're actually mostly open. That would be a good option. I think my favorite part is when I can start wearing my cozy socks and get my warm slippers out of the cupboard to start using them again. So this vlog is not only to tell you a few of my essentials and things I love doing during autumn, but also this is a bit of a vlog. So this afternoon I'm going to decorate the house. I will then do a autumnal DIY, and at the end of the day I'm thinking of going for a nature walk to kind of see how it's starting to look out there. Are the leaves starting to turn orange, or do we still have a little bit to go till they do? Obviously bring a book with me and maybe a warm drink, we'll see. And then the idea is to just have a cozy evening in reading, maybe eating some warm food. Obviously the next step is always to decorate your house. The best way to really feel a season is to surround yourself with the colors and scents and look of the season. I love filling my house with autumn colors. I don't have much space to decorate as I live in a studio, but I always try to bring a little bit of the season in. I normally replace my cushion covers with autumnal ones, add an orange blanket, replace non-scented candles with darker ones or orange ones if that's something you prefer, and add autumnal scents, be it through new candles or even just essential oils in your everyday diffuser. I do really love decorating with real pumpkins. And then you can reuse them at the end of the season between November and December to make soups or pies or stews, whatever you want. You can always just use those pumpkins and they don't go to waste. Something else I always try to do is at least a DIY per year. It just makes me feel happy. I've always loved being crafty, and I always feel inspired at this time of year to create, just make my space more me. This year, I haven't really found a candle yet that I really enjoyed for autumn as my staple scented candle, and so I've decided to make my own because I already had most of the supplies at home either way. Candles obviously not only help set the mood, but the sense of smell is the sense that is most associated with memories, so it really helps set your memories in your mind. And so I'm very excited to get into this. You start by melting the wax. I've had this pan for a few years and I always just use it for melting the wax. Maybe it would be good to get a really cheap pan and always use that one, save it for candle making. I then have some wooden wicks which really give that fireplace vibe when you're burning them. And I have a few essential oils, including sandalwood, lavender, and thyme that I'm planning to use. I haven't yet decided on what to use, apart from obviously sandalwood. And then I'll see which mixture will be better, I guess. Obviously, after the wax is melted, you drop in your essential oil and then fill the candle up and just let it dry. It's a super super easy DIY to do, and it really brings something special. And obviously, if you use enough essential oils, it will really fill up your whole place with these amazing scents. Going on a nature walk is one of my favorite things to do in autumn, be it to the countryside or just the riverside, which is right in the city centre, and I'm quite lucky that it's basically on my doorstep. I try to do this as often as I can, as to not miss any moment of the changing season. I love spotting the differences and being there for as many moments as I can. On these expeditions, I always collect some leaves and conkers or any other surprises I find along the way. On years past, I have made a lot of decorations with these items, from leaf garlands to potpourri with conkers and a few other bits. I just really enjoy bringing the nature in. So yeah, let's get right into it. Good morning, it's now the next day and we're going to continue to go through all of my staple activities to do in autumn and to really get you in that cozy autumnal mood. Starting with breakfast. So without any further ado, let's get right into that. This morning I had some leftover kind of croissant pastry, and I thought to give it an autumnal twist, spice up some applesauce and just put a little bit of it inside the pastry, roll it up and just bake it for a while. I love a pastry in the morning, just like any other person, especially if they're freshly baked. Working from home, I found that making a little something every once in a while, even if it's all pre-made and I just put it together really quickly, helps to bring that magic into everyday life. I normally clean in the morning while making breakfast, but in the days that I make something special, I like to take the time to watch or read something atmospheric and just not rush through everything. I honestly feel better when I wake up earlier and have a slower, cozier morning. And it's perfect for those darker, colder autumn mornings, to open the window with my warm drink and the cold air. It really helps to reset and center yourself before a busy day. I honestly think these taste divine. I really liked the soft doughy croissant instead of the classic one, which would be with puff pastry. With the filling inside, it just makes it quite warm. It feels a bit like a sweet bun instead of a filled croissant. Today, I'm continuing to read The Sister Who Ate Her Brothers and Other Gruesome Tales by Jen Campbell. And I'm loving these fairy tales. The writing style and the size is exactly like the fairy tales you're told as children, but the content and the themes explored are so much darker. It's just amazing. Highly recommend. Moving on to some other activities to spice up your autumn. I bring you my autumn bingo. I've been working on an autumn bingo to share with you guys on Instagram. It's a board of autumnal activities and prompts to do during autumn, and that we can check them off together. I tried to have a mix of simpler little things to do and a bit more classic and time-consuming autumnal activities, maybe to do on the weekends, so everyone could get involved, even people that don't have that much free time. It's already up on Instagram for you to go check it out, and don't forget to take a print screen so you can share it on your Instagram and then obviously check it along with all of us. I really hope you enjoy it and that you have fun. The next thing is a staple autumn activity that I couldn't do this video without mentioning, and that is to go pumpkin or apple picking. Nowadays, more and more pumpkin picking farms and places are opening up, and with many extra activities as well. I personally love going to White House Farm here in Norwich. They have the cutest cafe with a farm shop full of items from the farm itself and other local businesses. The cafe has all the English staples: bacon butties, cakes, soups, scones and toasties, and obviously all the teas and coffees. But it does depend on what you want to do. I know that I've researched before, and there are so many other options. You have apple orchards, you have mazes and face painting and craft fairs and shops and food trucks, and even kind of more night festivals for adults. There's so many different options nowadays. So I would recommend just looking up really quickly what's around you. For me, it doesn't really feel like autumn anymore if I don't go pumpkin picking. When you get back home, you have the delight of being able to redecorate your home with all the pumpkins that you just picked yourself. So yeah, it's a really fun time, and I really, really enjoy going. I would highly recommend. And there's nothing more autumnal than that. Something else I do a lot is put on a TV series in the background all day, every day during autumn. Actually, I do go between doing a TV series and listening to a book, but it depends on the task I'm doing. If I'm working, especially writing, I would personally prefer a TV series, as if I'm focusing on those two things, there's no space in my brain to be thinking of whatever else I need to be doing. So it really helps me to concentrate on what I'm actually doing. My favorites to-go series are obviously Gilmore Girls. Good Witch actually is a very simple, cozy series. It doesn't require that much brain activity. And then something like Vampire Diaries, or I've been watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Especially if you've watched them before, I really find that helps. And so I don't need to be paying attention to it as much as a new series. And yeah, it really helps to embrace the mood if you surround yourself with autumnal things. Another longer activity is to visit an old house, a cathedral, or even an old cemetery on a moody day. I mean, I love visiting on all days, but if it's a moody day, it has an extra layer of autumnal atmosphere. I'm quite lucky to have a beautiful cathedral near me. So anytime I can, I take a book with me and I stop by my favorite bakery, which coincidentally now is literally in the cathedral or just outside. And I just sit down in the cloisters reading. The atmosphere is amazing. It just makes me happy. I mean, I always love going to the cathedral either way, but in autumn it has peak autumnal vibes. In the UK, there are many manor houses and estates open to the public. It would be a good time to just research which ones are open near you and maybe take a day trip to one of them. You'll see you'll not be disappointed by the nature walks you can go on around the estate normally, and obviously the atmosphere of this old house. I also love to wander around old cemeteries. They feel a little bit like libraries, a place where stories live. And autumn is a perfect time to visit. You can really bring to life all of those ghosts and gothic stories by reading them in an old cemetery especially. One of the simplest things to get you in the mood for autumn is to change your computer and phone background. Maybe make your own mood board to get inspired every time you open up your computer. Add a beautiful photo that you took in previous years, or obviously go on a Pinterest hunt for the most vibey autumnal photo or illustration you can find, because there are thousands out there and they will bring you some happiness every time you open up your phone. I have one I took last year, right at the end of autumn when we had a few icy days, and honestly, this photo is just next level. I love it so much. My last and obviously most important recommendation is to read autumnal books. Like series and movies, books really help to put yourself in a specific mood. So reading creepy and atmospheric books set in autumn or filled with those vibes at this time of year is perfect to embrace the season and live it to its max. What's better about a book than a movie or a TV series is that you can build the world in your head. I do have a recommendation video coming up next week filled with TV shows, movies, and many books. But I thought I would just talk you through what I've been reading recently. I am in the middle of In the Company of Witches by Auralee Wallace. So I'm going to read you just a little synopsis, if that's okay. When a guest dies in the B&B, she helps her aunts run. A young witch must rely on some good old-fashioned investigating to clear her aunt's name in this magical and charming new cozy mystery. And one of my favorite quotes from the first few chapters is, "I used to love the beginning of the fall semester, the smell of new books, the start of sweater season, the crisp fall air so ripe with possibility. I mean, it's amazing. The atmosphere in this book is there. Characters are just so heartwarming and relatable, but also just a bit quirky. They're all witches. One is really good with nature and plants. The other is really good with cooking and baking. And our main character can talk with ghosts. I honestly am loving this book and I really want to finish it. Another book that I just started is The Coldest Girl in Cold Town by Holly Black. This is a relatively old book from her backlist titles, but it has vampires and it's set in autumn, so I thought I would give it a go. I did just start it and it's a little bit dark for me at this point. I will continue and see how it develops, but I am not loving it yet. Let me read you a bit of a synopsis. Tana lives in a world where walled cities called cold towns exist. In them, quarantined monsters and humans mingle in a decadently blood mix of predator and prey. The only problem is, once you pass through Cold Town's gates, you can never leave. One morning, after a perfectly ordinary party, Tana wakes up surrounded by corpses. The only other survivors of this massacre are her endearing ex-boyfriend, infected and on the edge, and a mysterious boy burdened with a terrible secret. Shaken and determined, Tana enters a race against the clock to save the three of them the only way she knows how, by going straight to the wicked, opulent heart of Cold Town itself. I mean, it sounds good. We'll see how it goes. One that I have just finished, and it has immaculate autumnal seaside vibes, is The Scorpio Races by Maggie Stiefvater. Let me just read you this tiny synopsis. It happens at the start of every November. The Scorpio races. Riders attempt to keep hold of their water horses long enough to make it to the finish line. Some riders live, others die. So it follows two characters. It's a dual perspective book. You have a orphan. Her parents died relatively recently and she lives with her two brothers and they're struggling. So she decides to enter the races, but she's going to enter with her normal horse. You then have on the other side the winner of the last at least 5 races, I think, or maybe 3. He has won a few, especially consecutively in the last few years. And he rides with a water horse that has been his water horse for a long time and they have a deep bond. But water horses are wild. They're very violent and it's really difficult to tame one. I mean, pretty much impossible. Even the horse that this guy has, he is wild. It's not a tame horse. And yeah, it's a violent race that happens every November. It brings tourists and there's a festival surrounding this. It's all set in an island off of the coast of the UK. So it has perfect autumn vibes. There is a slight bit of romance, but it's not explicit. It's just more implied. I mean, it's a really good story. It did take me quite a while to get through it. I started it last winter and I had to stop it because it was just going so slowly. But I then got the audiobook and I put it at 1.25 speed, and it really helped me to not only get through the book, but to bring the book to life in my head. Yeah, so don't expect quick-paced book. It's really slow and atmospheric and about the characters and what they're feeling and what they're going through. And they're not feeling lovey-dovey thoughts. They're very much feeling darker things. It's quite sad, but the atmosphere of it is really, really good. So I do recommend it. And I did really enjoy it. Obviously, you know, I'm reading The Sister Who Ate Her Brothers and Other Gruesome Tales by Jen Campbell, which I'm really, really loving and hoping to finish in the next few days. days. But I think I'm going to take my time with it. Read a couple of stories every once in a while, so I don't read through all of them and then forget all of the stories. My last activity that I want to share with you is to basically do everything by candlelight, especially when it gets dark. It really takes the atmosphere to a whole other level. And so today, a lot later on, I can assure you, I am going to have a candlelit dinner, and I invite you to join me on that. I hope you enjoyed this video and have a few new ideas to implement this autumn. I had a great time planning and filming this video, so please like and comment what your favorite autumnal activities are. And I really hope to see you in the next one. Bye!